Hello everybody, good afternoon, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, as well as your preview for Manchester United versus Liverpool in what is a really weird situation. To be playing Liverpool in recent years would be a huge event for United, where we would be the underdog, and yet we find ourselves in this position where we're 13 points ahead of Liverpool. They're desperate, have to beat us tomorrow. And we've got an opportunity where if we win, we basically firm up second place and can look at maybe getting as many as 75, nearly 80 points this season, which would be a massive improvement on 65. So lots to talk about the Liverpool game. We're going to start off with the quotes from Mino, which I think are quite interesting in the wider context of what Manchester United's future is going to be. Obviously, we've got the protest tomorrow. We'll be talking about that, a few other things as well. Manchester United very prepared for a very big protest. Last week, they didn't really do anything. They had a few stewards, a few police. This week, they've half boxed off the area outside of Old Trafford. Like, there's barriers and everything up. So they know something big is going to happen tomorrow. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about what Mino Raiola said about Paul Pogba. Ultimately hinting again that Paul Pogba could leave Manchester United. And I suppose it pops the balloon of positivity around Pogba in a sense that he's playing so well at the moment. I think there are United fans out there that think, oh, that means he's going to sign a new contract. He's got a smile on his face. He's going to be here. For me, I'm very realistic about the Paul Pogba situation. I think that he's happy because he's in control of his career. I think Raiola will be very happy as well because he'll see the pound signs. And probably for the first time that Pogba's been at Manchester United, I actually don't hold much contempt towards Mino Raiola on this one, because ultimately he is the agent of a player that's got 1 year left on his contract. If there's one time you should be thinking about the pound signs and being in control, it's now. And that's down to United for letting this contract basically run down to 1 year left. We've obviously known that Paul Pogba has wanted to leave United for at least 2 years. And we've not facilitated that move. And we've now allowed it to drop into the final year where we really don't have a lot of power. Paul Pogba does. So what's Mino Raiola said? He said, Pogba to Real Madrid, it's difficult. But impossible is nothing. What if Real offer a Hazard or Pogba swap? It's just an example. And if all parties like it, why not? Pogba's future, the most important thing now is to know what Manchester United wants, what project they're proposing. He's interested in one thing, winning the Champions League and titles. We are going to see where this is possible, if United or at other clubs. And I liked that. You know what? I think I like that. I mean, we're not big Mino Raiola fans, are we? But I do like that. And it's funny, isn't it? Because we spoke about this only 24 hours ago. We spoke about this last night. We spoke about the Pogba situation last night. And what did we say? In many ways, with this whole Glazer out movement, in many ways, Paul Pogba's future publicly exposes Manchester United, because when Mino Raiola is talking about Pogba wants to win the Champions League, he wants to win titles, well, so do we. Who would have thought that we would be on the same page as Mino Raiola? Like, Mino Raiola and Paul Pogba are ultimately going to sell what Manchester United are this summer. If Paul Pogba signs a new contract at Manchester United, he's clearly only going to sign it at Manchester United because he believes Manchester United are going to win the Champions League in the next 3 years. Or a Premier League. If he leaves, it's because United haven't got the ambition. Now, I think he's going to leave. I think he's going to leave in a year and not sign a contract. But it's very good that Mino Raiola has said what he said about, look, either Man United are going to offer him the titles or he'll find a club that has. And as we know, to get a title at Manchester United, you need a centre defensive midfielder, you need a right winger, and you need a centre back. Will they buy those players this summer? Probably not. And therefore, Paul Pogba will leave. And that's very, very disappointing. But it only exposes what many of us have been talking about for a long time. You can't moan about the fact that Paul Pogba is going to leave when he's going to leave for exactly the reasons we've been moaning, that the ambition is not demonstrated by that board. Please stay, Paul Pogba, because you're a star that sells shirts. Please buy players to help me win a title. We can't do that. I'm off. And I think that's really interesting. So, look, some people might get a little bit angry about what Mino Raiola said, but when you look at the quotes and when you look at what he's saying, and yes, he's been a troublemaker in the past, and yes, the comments he came out with the night before Leipzig where we got locked out were not good, and they made a lot of people very angry. But I think now, with a year left on his contract, an agent has every right to start talking about his client's future. 1 year left, you've got a right to do that, and he is right. Basically, what he's saying is Paul Pogba's got 3 years left in his prime at 28, and he wants to win titles while he still can. He wants to win the Champions League while he still can. And will Manchester United provide that platform? If they don't, we'll go somewhere else. And he's also talking about swap deals and saying, look, he's not talking about Hazard for Pogba. I would never do that deal, never in a million years. But swap deals, as Fabrizio Romano in the past has spoken about. So look, I'm very relaxed about I'm not. Let me tell you the truth. I'm not relaxed about the Paul Pogba situation. I think that yet again, it's more evidence of the incompetence of Manchester United's board. And there's a massive protest tomorrow. There was a protest last week. There was the Super League last week. We've had incompetence with transfers and recruitment and player retention for years. This is nothing new, what's happening with Paul Pogba. Ander Herrera walked out the door for nothing, and he was a £25 million player. We've been riddled with incompetence for a very, very long time. But amongst all this that's going on, it's a bloody disgrace that Paul Pogba's going to walk out the door for nothing again, potentially. I think that's what's going to happen. And if we can get him to sign a new contract because we've bought a load of players, then that can only be a positive, but I don't think that will happen. So I think in relation to the Pogba situation, my expectation is that he won't sign a new contract and he'll stay next season and then go for nothing, which is not a great situation, but that's what I think is going to happen. But we'll see what happens with it. But ultimately, I think it can't be a bad thing if the reality is he would sign a new contract at this club if we were ambitious, and we're not. So let's see what happens with that. Mark, thoughts on Coutinho rumours about going to Everton? Last time I checked, Oliver, this is not the Everton stand. This is the United stand. So I don't want Coutinho at Manchester United. I don't think he would want to come to Manchester United either. So yeah, we'll watch the space with Pogba, but it is interesting comments. And look, with Mino Raiola, he's even talking about Erling Haaland, saying, well, Dortmund say they're not going to sell him, but I'll tell you now, if a good offer comes in, they probably will, so let's wait and see. Mino Raiola is one of those agents that really is about publicly, he doesn't give a shit about the club. He's a weird agent in that sense. He's a super agent. He's a bigger than the club agent. And we've seen it with Pogba for years, and now we're seeing... I think some people thought that Mino Raiola didn't like Manchester United. It's got nothing to do with disliking Manchester United. He just doesn't give a shit about football structures or football past. He gives a shit about him and his clients. And like he's spoken about Pogba leaving Manchester United for years, he's now openly doing it with Erling Haaland. Well, Dortmund think they're not going to sell him, but I tell you what, if the money comes in, they'll do it. So yeah, Mino Raiola is what he is, but it's going to get a lot worse. If he runs his contract down, Raiola won't shut up next year. He'll be constantly on about it. Anyway, look, let's talk about the game for tomorrow against Liverpool. Now, this is a big game. A very, very big game for Manchester United. It's Liverpool. And Liverpool against Manchester United is a big game. I think some people are going into this game and they're like, oh, it's not that big. We've got top four sorted. The Europa League final is where it's all out. All out, but it's not very often that you get the opportunity. We haven't beaten Liverpool, have we? I don't think we've beaten Liverpool with Ollie. I don't think Ollie's beaten Klopp. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think he has. I don't think we've beaten Liverpool for a long time in the league. I can't remember. I certainly don't think Ollie's done it. I don't think we've beaten Liverpool because Mourinho's last game was Liverpool, where we got beat at Anfield, and I think we drew with them where we had all them injuries in the February. We didn't beat them last year, and we haven't beaten them this year. So Ollie's never beaten Liverpool. So this is a big game in that sense. Man United Liverpool is a big game. But also, if we beat them tomorrow, we go up to 70 points, which puts us 7 points ahead of third place with only 12 points to play. So we win tomorrow. We basically got second place done, which then means that people like Van der Beek, Tuanzebe, Telles, Diallo might get some game time in the last few league games. So there's a big incentive to win the game tomorrow. And I really, really hope that we do. And obviously, if we beat them tomorrow, Liverpool ain't going to get top four if they get beat tomorrow. They're 7 points off fourth place. So if we're 7 points clear of second place with 12 points to go, Liverpool aren't closing a 7-point gap on Chelsea with 12 points to go. So the incentive to beat Liverpool tomorrow is massive for Manchester United. On the other hand, this is a must-win game for Liverpool. They've got to win. They are currently 7 points behind Chelsea. If they win tomorrow, they can close that to 4 points, and even that's very hard for them. So they have to win tomorrow, but we have to approach it with the mentality to win as well. So it's a very, very big game, and I also think that if Liverpool rolled up at Old Trafford tomorrow and beat us 2 or 3-0, ultimately, I think people would go, well, we've got a Europa League final, but I think I would be like, well, is this not the problem with Manchester United, though? Like, we are second place, we're second best, and we can't afford to get beat tomorrow is what I'm trying to say. It's not like if we lose tomorrow we can go, oh yeah, we're fine. I mean, we're in a Poundland Champions League final and we're a long way behind Man City in second place. So it's big. I think in a season of second best, we are second best in the league. The Europa League is second best to the tournament we did go into in Europe. But if we can beat Liverpool for the first time, I think that's another tick in Ollie's box. I think Solskjaer will be sat there tonight very, very determined to beat Liverpool because he's beaten Chelsea, he's beaten Man City, but he's never beaten Liverpool. And I think when you're looking at progress and momentum, to go into next season knowing he's beaten Liverpool and if he's had a good window, I think it just helps us. So very, very big game for United, very, very big game for Liverpool. I think we're going to get a really good game and I'm very, very excited about it. My score prediction, I'll just say, I don't normally say it straight away. My score prediction is 1-1. I think it'll be a 1-1 draw in this game. I just think that both teams will cancel each other out and it'll be quite tight, tense affair. Probably a lot of fouls, but I think it will end up being 1-1. We beat Liverpool in the FA Cup. I've completely forgotten about that because the FA Cup is a total waste of time. So I don't really count the FA Cup. So I wasn't looking at the live chat because I was looking at the Premier League table on a different browser. So well done for everybody who said FA Cup, but I don't really count the FA Cup. It's not really... Well, we didn't win it, did we? So, yeah, you can count the FA Cup if you want. But I think it's significant if we can beat them in the league. Because basically, if we win tomorrow, they're in the Europa League. That's basically what it's all about, at best. So, big result if we can do it. I think it will be a draw. Wally says we beat them in the FA Cup and lose to Liverpool and hand the title to City on the same day. No thanks, the players will perform tomorrow, says Joe. Yeah, we don't want to give City the title either. If we lose tomorrow, City have won the title. So we don't want to do that. Even if we draw tomorrow, City haven't officially won the title yet. Let City win the title. We don't want to hand it to them because we lose to Liverpool. And also, flip side of the coin, we lose tomorrow. Leicester are only 4 points behind us. Chelsea are 6 points behind us with 4 games to go. We've got to play Leicester. Leicester beat us, 1 point behind us. Chelsea 3 points behind us. So we're in a very good position, but we can't afford to start losing games. So we need to get a result tomorrow. I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be 1-1. In relation to the team, it's unimaginative. I've got to say it's unimaginative because Henderson will come in goal, but I think he'll go with the same team that played against Roma. Where is he going to make changes? Somebody said surely Greenwood will start. I mean, maybe Cavani will get a rest and Greenwood will start. You might be right with that. Maybe he'll bring Dan James in. I don't know, but I can't see. I mean, it's definitely going to be McFred. We know that'll happen. Definitely going to be Magaluf. We know that'll happen. Definitely going to be Pogba and Bruno. So the only place he might bring Greenwood in for Cavani, but we look, like it or lump it, the reality is Solskjaer uses the same 13-14 players every bloody game. We've been playing 3 games a week for months and it's the same 13-14 players. It's basically Greenwood or Cavani, Henderson or De Gea. He doesn't make any other changes. Van der Beek never plays, Matic never plays, Mata never plays, Telles never plays, Tuanzebe never plays, Bay hardly plays anymore. I don't see it. I mean, maybe Bay will play tomorrow. Maybe he'll give Lindelof a rest. I don't know, but I doubt it. But this is something that's not going to change this season, and hopefully if we do win tomorrow, he might rotate a little bit towards the end of the season, but we should be rotating. If you look at Chelsea today against Fulham and you look at Man City today against Palace, there was 4 or 5 changes across both teams. Well, we've just played in Europe on Thursday. They played Tuesday, Wednesday and they're making changes. So we should be rotating. We should be trusting, but I don't think he will make many changes tomorrow. And I think that's something he needs to improve on next year because this 11 players that he keeps using will burn out next year. You can't keep playing. We've seen this. There's a big warning sign with Liverpool. For 2 years, Klopp basically went with the same players, and now they've burnt out. Ollie's going to fall into the same trap. You can't keep using the same players all the time. He's going to have to start rotating more next season. But I don't see many changes tomorrow. The goalkeeper change will happen, and maybe the striking position will happen. We'll see what happens with that. But look, if we win tomorrow, second place is basically done. The games we've got left, I think we've got Fulham, Leicester. I think we've got... Well, I'll tell you what we've got. I would like to. I mean, I'd love to win tomorrow. I think we'd all love to win tomorrow, wouldn't we? But what I would like to see is if we can get second place nailed down, can he please pick some of the other fringe players like Van der Beek and Telles and Tuanzebe and Bailly and people like that? Because we've got Villa, Leicester, Fulham, and Wolves. So in the Fulham and Wolves game, I'd like to see that second place is done and we give some people a chance. Diallo and Van der Beek. We'll see. Yeah, we've got Wolves, yeah. Harry Maguire is playing tomorrow. He's not suspended. So, yeah, don't need to know anything about that. So I'm going to go 1-1 in that game. I think it will be 1-1. But it's interesting just talking about the fringe players there. I did see something today. Take it with a big pinch of salt, but maybe there's something in it. There was something on social media today talking about Tuanzebe leaving in the summer. And Aston Villa, and United would be willing to take 7 million. I mean, let me just take a moment on this and grab the opinion of the live chat. Am I missing something about Tuanzebe? £7 million? 7 million, not 27 million. I mean, 27 million, I'd be like, that's a risk. £7 million for Axel Tuanzebe? Oh yeah, you're having a bloody laugh. I mean, he played against PSG and with Neymar and Mbappe on his side and played fantastically well. He was man of the match the last time he played as well. I do not get Manchester United, youth product, leadership qualities, fantastic player. His contract is up in 2 years' time, not 1 year's time. Why would we let him go for £7 million? That's half a Dan James, yeah. Why would you let Tuanzebe go for £7 million? Or even 10? Or even 20? Like, I really don't get it with Tuanzebe. I think that Tuanzebe, if he goes, unless there's an underlying injury issue, which we don't know about because he did miss a year, if Tuanzebe goes, I'm like, this can only bite us in the arse. This can only come back and hurt us because I think he's a very good player. I'm convinced he's a very good player. And if he goes to a team and plays regularly, then 7 million plus Grealish, Villa, yes, please, says Rudy. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know what the plan is with Tuanzebe. I really don't. But I think he's a really good player. And I think that... I don't know what his future is going to be because I think he will go in the summer. But I think what a shame. And if he goes to a Villa or he goes to a Bournemouth or he goes to a Norwich or whatever, I don't think he'll be there for long. I think he's got real potential, and I think it's a real shame that we haven't used him. I know Eric Bailly gets a lot of, well, he should have played instead of Lindelof. If Harry Maguire's a good leader, and many people think he is, if Harry Maguire's a good leader, then why did we never try Tuanzebe and Maguire? Because surely Maguire, as captain of Manchester United, has the capabilities of nurturing a young right back next to him. And not only nurturing him, how good would it have been if Maguire's a real leader? Why has Ollie not played him with Tuanzebe? I don't think they've ever played together, really. And if Maguire's a leader, he could mould Tuanzebe into what he wants. You do this, you do that, you pick him up, you go with the runner. I think there was a real opportunity, Tuanzebe and Maguire, and we've never even looked at trying to use it. Harry Maguire's the captain. Harry Maguire's the leader. Harry Maguire's the one who comes out and says, my left back's doing this and that means I'm playing well, I'm organising things. Why would you not have tried Tuanzebe next to Maguire and just see how it goes? Because Tuanzebe's quick. Lindelof's never going to be quick. So I think it's a missed opportunity. Maybe we could try it at the end of the season for a couple of games. Our owners are meant to be businessmen, but when it comes to selling players, they are hopeless. Chelsea best at it. I'll bet they get 40 million for Tammy Abraham, says Daz OW. Well, how much do I think Tuanzebe's worth? With 2 years on his contract, I would say, 20, 30 million. I mean, Power Ranger says Mengi is on his mind. Mate, bullshit. Absolute bullshit. You're just saying that because you're like, well, yeah, that justifies getting rid of Tuanzebe. Why is Diallo not on Ollie's mind? What? I don't think there is any evidence that Mengi's on Ollie's mind. I think Mengi on loan at Derby is absolutely brilliant for Ollie because he doesn't have to play him. I think Tuanzebe on loan this season would have been great because he doesn't have to play him. What I want to see next season, I want to see genuine development of young players, because I don't see it at United. I think Brandon Williams came through last year under Ollie. We've not seen him this year. Tuanzebe, every time we've used him, has been fantastic, and we've hardly seen him. Mason Greenwood's a generational talent. I think even Sam Allardyce would play Mason Greenwood. We're a club about youth. I want to see some youth actually being given an opportunity. I think the misuse of Brandon Williams this season has basically cost him a year of his career. So I think the same about Tuanzebe. I think Tuanzebe and Brandon Williams could have played a lot more football this year, and they haven't done, and they've lost a year, and I think it's a shame. So what are we going to do with them next year? The Tuanzebe one worries me, because I think there's a real player there. Would you trade Axel for Grealish, as Rudy? Well, Villa wouldn't. Well, Tuanzebe hasn't played a lot this season. His marketplace is low because of lack of game time, says Victor. I think you're right, Victor, and I think we should just loan him out. Loan him out to Villa, and then when he has a good season, put him back in the bloody United team. Our owners are, 7 million for Axel. Don't forget we have Delo coming back and the Rochdale Brazilian from Lazio. Madness, yeah. I forgot about Pereira and Delo. Good point there. Tomorrow will be Maguire's 72nd consecutive Premier League game, and he's played a full 90 in all. Yeah, I think this breaks the record of 7 million buying back for 50 million, says Alain. I think if Maguire plays tomorrow, which he will do, it levels or breaks the record set by Gary Pallister. Look, I think Harry Maguire has been good since Christmas. I was very critical of him before. There are these negative twats out there who seem to think I don't rate Harry Maguire, which is, if you watch the channel, you'll know that's not the case. I've been very complimentary of him since Christmas. I think Maguire's biggest problem is that he's playing with Lindelof. It's a bit like McTominay and Fred. I don't dislike either player individually. I just can't stand them as a pair. And I don't like Maguire and Lindelof either. I like them both individually, but I think as a pair, the reliability. But I think that Maguire would be so much better with a quick centre-back. I can't believe he doesn't realise that himself. Like, for an intelligent leader, I can't believe he doesn't realise that he would be a better player if he had a quick player next to him. But, come see, come saw. 72 games in a row. I mean, my thoughts on that are... I'm not being rude, but it's a bit like being a milk monitor. You give the milk out. I'm not bothered. I tell you where I think it is a positive. When you compare it to Bay and Jones, he's never injured. Big thumbs up. That's it for me. That's the positive. There is a good signing that never gets injured. That in the modern game is worth its weight in gold, and that's the only positive of that for me. His injury record is elite, and I tell you what, you want a player like that to play every game. So I give a thumbs up to Harry Maguire for that. But then somebody is in my ear saying, yeah, but we're playing him too much. He will end up getting injured, because the amount of football Harry Maguire plays is ridiculous. He's not the bionic man. He's Harry Maguire. And are we overplaying him? Yes, of course we are. Of course we are. He's played 90 minutes, 72 games. Of course we're overplaying him. At some point he's going to burn out. Of course he is. But his injury record is fantastic. And especially at centre-back. You want a centre-back pairing to play as much as possible. And Maguire's certainly provided that platform. So I applaud that. But ultimately, Bruno Fernandes might have played 30 games and he's had a bad knee injury. Some of it's luck, but realistically, I'm more focused on finding the right partner for Harry Maguire than he's played 72, 73 games in a row. The thing that pleases me about that is the reliability is very, very important. Very, very, very important. 72 is ridiculous. You have to rotate, and that's also why Axel extra can't get a game. That's a good point from Chris Owens. He raises a good point there. There is a negative of that 72 games. Where's the rotation? And I think you do get to a point like that sometimes. Sometimes I look at the United bench and I'll see Mata, Matic, and no young players, and I'm a bit like, with all due respect, we all know everything that there is to know about Mata and Matic. We don't know everything about Diallo or Shoretire. So I'd rather see them on the bench, because we already know what you're going to get with Mata. And I think there has been opportunities this season in the early FA Cup rounds and in the Carabao Cup, etc., where you could have just said, look, Harry, you're the captain of the club. When it's a big game, you're going to play. I don't need you to say, I want to play every game, and I don't need to pick you every game because there has to be other players. What if you did break your leg? You can't play. I know you'll want to run around with a brace on, but you won't play. So, yeah, I think you make a good point there, Chris. I mean, the downside of the 72 games is that we've probably overplayed him, and that's not necessarily good for him eventually. He will burn out, but it's also not good for rotation. You know, I don't think it's much of a record to celebrate, really, other than the fact that it just shows that Maguire's fitness levels are fantastic. But actually, one of the big problems I think we have at the moment is that we don't rotate. Name me more than 14 outfield players that you would say gets regular game time. And that you've got that 11 there. You've got David De Gea, you've got Mason Greenwood, and you've got Anthony Martial. There's no other player that really plays regularly. Dan James a little bit, Bailly a little bit, Van der Beek never, Diallo never, Telles never, Williams never, Tuanzebe never, Mata really never. So we do use the same 13, 14 players. And you think about how many games we've played this year. Next year, he's got to learn to rotate more because you can't do 2 seasons in a row with the same 13, 14 players playing 60 games. Let me just say this while I remember. The protest tomorrow is at 2 o'clock and Manchester United are playing Liverpool at 4:30. There are all sorts of predictions. Now, if you saw the footage last week when we went up to Old Trafford for the first protest, which was the unorganised protest, which doesn't make it a bad thing. It just happened in a very short period of time. I think the Super League was on the Tuesday and we were protesting on the Saturday. There was a couple of thousand there. This has been well organised and there could be up to 10,000 people there. This protest tomorrow is going to be very interesting because we've got a media boycott at the moment on social media. So will that impact the impact of the protest? It might do, it might not. But I certainly think with the protest tomorrow, it's going to be the biggest protest the Premier League's seen in a very long time. So it's going to be massive. 10,000 people. And as I said at the start of the show, if you remember, if you think about the front of Old Trafford, where you've got the Trinity, Best, Charlton and Law, and there's that massive area. You've got Hotel Football that side, Sir Matt Busby Way, the back of Old Trafford with Sir Matt Busby on it. It's a very big area. If you've ever been there before, it's a massive area. So what they've done at Old Trafford is they've put these barriers up and they've split it in half. Now, I think they're doing that probably to stop people getting at the frontage of Manchester United. But that halves the space that people can congregate. And yet you've got 4, 5, 6 times the amount of people that was there last week. So it's going to be very, very congested there tomorrow. And I don't know. I don't know whether I don't know. Look, I don't know what the health and safety reasons are for that. But you're halving the space that fans can get there, and yet there's going to be loads more of them there. So it's going to be it will make it look even bigger because you can't get as many people there, which means they'll congregate either side. So there's going to be a massive amount of people there tomorrow, and it will. You want this to hit America, you want it to hit India, Sydney, Australia, and everywhere. And I think it will do. It will be a massive, massive statement that the fans do not want the Glazers there. And then we've got Liverpool afterwards, but we've also got Liverpool that day, so it'll be all over the TV and everything anyway. So it's a big statement day for Manchester United tomorrow, and it will be a very different type of protest to one you've seen before because there's going to be loads of banners there. It's been properly organised, and I don't think it will be all Eddie, give it, Eddie Cavani chants. It will be very not aggressive, but very firm in its message that this is about the Glazers out. People aren't turning up there because United, we're in the Europa League semi-final. This is about the Glazers out, and that will be the message tomorrow. 50+1 and everything else. So getting that petition done, very, very important. Buy Pau Torres, convert him to a CDM, keep Pogba, play Tuanzebe, says Melondo. There's always a super chat that's got nothing to do with what you're talking about, isn't there? When Klopp and Pep approach retirement, which ex-player of current young manager do you think will be the most sought after? I've got no idea, David Lewis. No idea. Nagelsmann maybe, but no idea. Mark, not to change subject, but honestly, where does the Ollie hate come from? Does he really deserve the amount of absolute hate he receives? Don't get it, says Yazza. I don't really see a lot of Ollie hate, to be honest. I don't. really see any Ollie hate at the moment. I think a lot of the anger is aimed at the Glazers. So just talking about that protest tomorrow. I mean, look, we've got a fantastic community. We saw what we did with that petition. We took it from 30,000 to 100,000 in 2.5 days, and I applaud you and everybody who got involved in that. There has been some really impressive work done over the last sort of week to 10 days between groups of United fans that would never talk to each other normally. And the United Stand community's got involved in some of those conversations as well. People have pulled their resources together. We've made a few. We made a contribution of a few £100 towards banners and stuff like that. So there's all sorts of stuff going on behind the scenes, and that will go on beyond Sunday as well, and has to go on. So to me, tomorrow is a real statement of intent. It's almost like a first step. It can't be the last step. It can't be, look at this big protest, we've done our bit, let's go back to normal. It's like the statement that was read out at the fan forum yesterday. The apology is not accepted by the Glazers. We want change at this football club, and we're going to do everything we can to do it. And that unity that we've been talking about for the last 10 days is really important. And there's really, really a statement of intent to do more and more and more. And I know that you feel that like that as well. And I know that there's so many of you that, for various reasons, most of you can't even bloody fly into England, let alone go to a protest at Old Trafford. So this is the first start of many. We need to keep that unity, and there's a lot of people doing a lot of great work behind the scenes, as I said, and I think it will send a very powerful statement tomorrow about the intent of this fan base, but also that Manchester United are going to send the biggest statement about the European Super League. And that's not to be competitive. Arsenal want to get rid of their owners. I don't know what Liverpool want. I don't know what City or Chelsea or Spurs want. But look, there were 6 British clubs that tried to go into a Super League and destroy football. And tomorrow, Manchester United's fan base is going to show the world that we do not stand for that sort of abhorrent, greedy behaviour. And we'll send a message in a very big way. And I hope that clubs of other clubs look at what we've done and go, yeah, we should have done that as well, because what they tried to do was a fucking joke. So look, big things, but it's going to go further than that, and we have to keep it on the agenda. We do have to keep it on the agenda, and it feeds into what happened, what I spoke about at the start of the show about Paul Pogba and Mino Raiola. Paul Pogba will probably leave Manchester United, as Mino Raiola said, because he wants to win Champions Leagues and he wants to win titles. Can Manchester United show that ambition? They haven't done for the last 4 years. Of course they can't show that ambition. So Paul Pogba will go. And this is where these protests and everything come from, because everything about United is about greed. It's always about greed. What's in it for us? What's the money for us? And as fans, we don't want that. We want a football club that can challenge. I don't want to hear another Manchester United Glazer puppet come out and say, we've got a very sustainable model in a very, very challenging market, but we're quite self-reliant and we'll see our way through this. Oh, great. I'm really happy that we're going to float to safety whilst Man City and Chelsea power off in their power yachts. Oh, look, there's another club sinking, but it's all right because we're just going to float away because we've got a sustainable thing. What about the power boats that are pouring away, which is Man City and Chelsea? That's where we should be. I don't want sustainability and, level, we'll be fine. I want Manchester United to be the club that they should be. And I think for too long, we get treated like idiots that it's just all about the money. It's all about the money. Chris, yeah, there will be a watch-along tomorrow. It's Manchester United against Liverpool, for God's sake. Of course there'll be a watch-along tomorrow. And we're hoping to get you some footage of the actual protest. We did last week, of course, but there's going to be a lot of people there this time. So it's difficult. It's all about reception and everything like that. Mark, I'm all for the protest and fair play if it's 10,000, but please don't forget we're in a pandemic. I can't see my nan, but random people can join with no masks, says Andrew Chow. Andrew, look, I get that. I'm not going to dwell on that too much. I've said it before. Our thoughts and prayers are with everybody in India. They're in the absolute storm's eye of this COVID pandemic. And please do stay safe and adhere to all the things that we've been adhering to in the UK for a very long time. What I would say, Andrew, is that there's going to be 10,000 people there. Manchester United have halved the area where you can congregate. People are going to be very, very close together. it's going to happen. There's nothing, you know, you can talk about a pandemic and you can find it offensive, and I get that, but that's going to happen tomorrow. And whether people are wearing a mask or not, they're going to be very squashed in together because there's only half the space for people to stand. And also, is the UK in a pandemic anymore? Like this, we're hardly getting any infection rates at the moment. So, of course, COVID's very important, and there could be a third wave incoming, but the correlation between that and the protest tomorrow, if I'm absolutely blunt, is not. It's not gonna. You're not going to see people social distancing wearing masks, I'm afraid. You're going to see a very, very different thing tomorrow. And if that's going to be offensive or hard for you to watch, and I accept why it will be, especially for people in parts of the country, parts of the world where they're in the eye of this pandemic, of course, spot on. I think everybody would love to be social distancing and wearing masks, but I think you're just going to see something, you're not going to probably see that tomorrow. And also, there's a lot of outside events and everything taking place now anyway, isn't there? Jack Lynch says, I really do hope this protest works tomorrow and the Glazers will see what they've done to the fans, but obviously they don't care. Jack, I don't really think that the protest tomorrow is going to make the Glazers think, shit, we need to sell. But I think it's a statement of intent that must be followed up again and again and again and again and again. It can't be a final step. It's got to be a first step. That's what it needs to be. I'm not getting into conversations about whether we're in a pandemic or not. I'm sure there's plenty of conspiracy theories and programs and things you can watch about that. The reality is, I'm telling you, don't turn in tomorrow and look at and watch it expecting to moan about people social distancing and wearing masks, because you're probably going to end up being disappointed. And that's not being insensitive. I know people who've died of it. We've had it in our house 2 weeks ago, and you know, my wife was very ill with it. So, you know, I'm fully aware of what COVID's all about. So it's not about it being insensitive. What I'm saying is, I'm warning you, if you're going to be sensitive to that sort of thing, I wouldn't start looking at the pictures tomorrow, because I guarantee you it's going to be very crowded and there's going to be a lot of people there, and not all of them will be wearing masks. So it's almost like a parental warning, isn't it? You know, I get it. I totally get it. And I'm, you know, thoughts and prayers with, like I say, especially India at the moment, but there will be a lot of people there tomorrow. And that's just the way it's going to be. And they're not breaking any rules. This is an organised protest, which can happen. So I wouldn't, you know, you're going to upset yourself for no reason. Well, you're not for no reason, but you're going to upset yourself for something that's going to happen. The Crucible Theatre is more or less full indoors, says David. Yeah, we've got the snooker, World Snooker Championships at the moment. It's an indoor event, and it's virtually full capacity. And people are wearing a mask, but it's not very well ventilated. So, yeah, we're in a different position in the UK. In January, it was probably what India are having now. Obviously, their population is bigger. But we are coming out of it. We've had a massive vaccination programme. Infections and deaths are thankfully way, way down. And that doesn't mean it won't go up again. But, you know, this is the protocol that our government have allowed to happen. So nobody's doing anything wrong tomorrow by turning up to protest. It's totally and utterly allowed and organised. Exactly, Mark. The one last week was probably not organised. I don't know whether it was, but this is organised and it's allowed to happen. Exactly, Mark. We need to be consistent with these protests, because having just one protest will not change a thing, says Jack Lynch. Yeah, it needs to be not the thing that I don't want to see. And look, I'll be really honest here. I don't think we've got total unity in the fan base yet. I still think there are fragments of distrust and, unnecessary beef, whatever you want to call, in the fan base. And we need to work towards total unity. And I think that still needs to be worked on as well. And some of that's about building trust, and some of that's about, focusing on what's really important. But what I don't want to see is that there's this really big protest tomorrow, which there will be, and then it goes quiet. Well, we did the protest. Well done. High five, pat on the back, put the banners in the cupboards, and let's focus on other things. No, this needs to be the first. I almost think this needs to be the spark. This needs to be the thing that goes, right, wow, look at that. Right, what's next? What's next? What's next? Because we've got to keep pushing towards these owners and keep the pressure on them. Definitely. What do you think about Rashford versus Trent, says Darren? it could be. I mean, it could be Pogba versus Trent tomorrow. It could be Pogba on the left, and Trent obviously would be at right back. Rashford might not play against him. I can't see a situation where Pogba and Bruno don't play, and I don't think he'll play McFred. So it might not be Trent against Rashford, unless he puts Pogba to the right, which he might do. I think that might happen. He might put Rashford through the middle. The petition did hit 100,000, mate. So, and actually, you can still keep signing it. The link's in the video description for that. Hopefully, we will have some footage for you tomorrow. Yes, of the protest, definitely. Protest is at 2:00 Old Trafford tomorrow. So yeah, if you can get there, fantastic. Mark, do you think Glazers selling us is realistic? Says Annie. I think the Glazers owning Manchester United is one of the worst things that's ever happened to this football club. It's not the worst thing, obviously. I think we know the worst thing to ever happen, and that was Munich. And I don't compare the Glazers to that. I'd never want them to be compared to that. I don't want them associated with that at all. But they are one of the worst things to ever happen to this football club, and I don't want them in charge of this football club anymore. And I think most fans are on that point. Do I think they're going to sell the club? I think the safest bet is to assume that they're not, because if we assume they're not, then hopefully the hunger and desire and plans to make them not be our owners will stay strong. I certainly don't think a protest or a petition is going to get them out. I think they need to have a sustained period of real eye-opening that we don't want them. And there are various ways that can be done, but we need to be united and we need to keep on at them. This is not a witch hunt. This is not about violence. This is not about harassment. This is about you're not welcome owning our football club. You've had 15 years bleeding the club dry. You've had a good ride. It never should have gone on this long. Now's the time to do the right thing and get out. And if you do that, we can wipe you away from our history, and you can take your money and go, and we'll build a new future. But my assumption at the moment would be that they're not going to sell. I think they can manage from afar, stay away, don't go to the games, own the club, and just avoid trouble. Put another puppet in place of Woodward and keep the money rolling in. Because at the end of the day, Man United's a real big cash cow for them. And they will ignore protests, and they will ignore everything from the other side of the pond, and they will just keep taking the money out of the club. That's what they want to do. They want it all to go quiet. We've already seen this week the PR spin. We've seen all this crap about Haaland and Kane, and you lot, not you lot, but like United fan base, and some of you, to be fair, have swallowed this Haaland and Kane story, even though we've spoken about it. How is this going to happen then? Oh, United want Haaland and Kane. Manchester Evening News, The Athletic, this, that and the other. It's just been exposed as a total and utter load of bullshit. A total and utter PR spin. Oh, United want Haaland and they want Kane. Oh, we've been begging Cavani to stay, now he's going to. Well, why are we looking at Haaland and Kane then? They weren't looking at Haaland and Kane. They've been trying to get Cavani to stay, but it looks good if we were looking at Haaland and Kane. All this PR bullshit needs to stop. We need to get the club back in control. And focused on being the best team on the pitch and not the best team on brand deals. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Really, really appreciate it. And make sure you smash a like on the video. And of course, it's a very big game tomorrow, very big day tomorrow, and a very big game tomorrow. Look, I hope you all stay safe. I know there's a lot of people in areas of the world where things are, and look, we have been there, we've all been there, and we were in this position a few months ago in the UK. It's a scary time, and it's a serious time. So thoughts and prayers with everybody who's going through a difficult time in relation to this COVID crisis. And we've got a great community, and really, really appreciate everyone tuning in. So smash a like on the video, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow for a big day and a big game of football as well. Thanks everyone for watching.